Hello, Coastline small groups. My name is Reinhart, and it is so good to be back with you. I'm the Young Adult Next Steps Coordinator, and we're heading into summer now, people. Isn't that absolutely wild? We just had an awesome message, double messages from Pastor Emily and the guest speaker, Faith, from her conference. And now this coming week, we're going to be going into a new series on the book of Hebrews, specifically Hebrews chapter 11. And so as we're heading into summer and things are changing up, maybe some of you are about to go on vacation and different things. Small groups are going to be wrapping up at the end of June. We want to give you a little bit of a teaser of the Cloud of Witnesses series, which is the series on Hebrews, and just talk a little bit about what the book of Hebrews is all about and what the Lord is inviting us into to reflect. Some things that we want to hold in our hearts as we enter the summer together. So, the book of Hebrews is an amazing book in the Bible. It's in the New Testament, and it's about helping the Hebrew people connect their faith from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Okay, and if you look in your Bible, you see that there's an Old Testament and there's a New Testament. How does it connect? How do we as a church continue following Jesus, Gentiles and Jews together, coming under one head, Jesus Christ? And that's what the book of Hebrews is all about. And also giving us insight into who Jesus is as the prophet, as the priest, as the king, as the Son of God, as the one who came to fulfill all of the law and the prophets as well. And so we want to look a little deeper at who Jesus is and look at a passage from the book of Hebrews as we prepare to go into this series. But before we get too deep into it just yet, I want to tell you a story. I remember a couple years ago, my dad and I, we went on a road trip throughout the U.S. It was like 30-hour drive kind of deal. And along the way, we actually stopped at Mount Rushmore. And you might have noticed, I have a little mug that has Mount Rushmore on it that a friend of mine gave me afterwards. But Mount Rushmore is one of those things where you've heard a lot about it, even if you've never seen it. You've seen the photos. You've seen it in TV shows, in animation. You know, it's the four president faces carved into this mountain. And you have an idea of what it looks like. It usually looks pretty gray, pretty white, and just stoic, maybe. And leading up to the day that we're supposed to get to Mount Rushmore, my dad and I were trying to figure out, okay, what is a good time for us to go? Because we don't want to go when it's super busy and lots of people around. We want to enjoy the moment. And as we're looking it up online, we discovered that the best times to go is early in the morning at sunrise or at sunset. Because throughout the day, obviously it's carved into a mountain, and so it's the faces are gray, like the color of the rock. But during the sunrise, specifically, the sun comes up and shines directly onto the faces. And when the sky lights up with the oranges and the pinks and the blues and the yellows, the faces also become this warm pinkish tone. And it's this beautiful display of art that you don't get at any other time during the day. And we didn't know that. And so we were like, okay, we're going to get up early. And it just so happened that our schedule worked out that we could do it for sunrise. And so we get up and we go towards the Mount Rushmore walkway. It's like this huge long hallway. We're walking down and it's just us and like two other people. And we get there and it's just right before the sun comes up. And it's gray, it's a little dark, you can't see it super well. And the sun comes up and the faces just become this beautiful pink and orange color. And there was just this moment where we were looking in awe at what was before us. We had a picture in our minds of maybe what it could look like, but pictures don't do it justice. You have to see it with your eyes. And there was this moment that was really cool where we're looking at Mount Rushmore and suddenly this bird flies by close to it. And that was the first time I kind of got an understanding of the scale of how big those faces actually are. Because this bird is flying by and it's basically smaller than the pupil of George Washington. And just the magnitude of it, the art that went into it, it was so beautiful. And there's things in the Bible that are like that as well. That we might think about it a certain way, but as we dive deeper into the scriptures and uncover the mysteries of the Lord, there's a fuller picture that comes into focus. And the beautiful thing is that Jesus is one of those people in the Bible, the one that we are following, who brings greater clarity, greater vision and revelation to the scriptures and what the whole story of the Bible actually is all about. So let's quickly dive in. I don't want to take too much of your time, but Hebrews chapter 3, it says, "Therefore, holy brothers and sisters who share in the heavenly calling, fix your thoughts on Jesus, whom we acknowledge as our apostle and our high priest. He was faithful to the one who appointed him, just as Moses was faithful in all of God's house. Jesus has been found worthy of greater honor than Moses, just as the builder of a house has greater honor than the house itself. For every house is built by someone, but God is the builder of everything." So even though Jesus' story only explicitly starts in Matthew, in the New Testament, actually, his story is woven throughout the scriptures. We see that he's the greater Moses. We see that he's the great high priest, our apostle. He is the Son of God. There's so many aspects of who Jesus is that you can actually find in the first, however many pages this is, earlier in the Bible as well. That Jesus, he is seen throughout the Bible, throughout Hebrews. The writer of Hebrews, he quotes Psalms and attributes them to, this is actually about Jesus. This isn't just about God the Father, but this is about Jesus, who is God. And so Moses, he was a picture of the greater one to come, who Jesus was. David as king, he was a picture that there's one day going to be a king who the government shall be on his shoulders and his kingdom will never end. He will be a righteous king, and that king is Jesus. And so throughout the Bible, we see that this is all actually pointing to a coming one, our Messiah, the anointed Son of God. But the beautiful thing is that Jesus, he's not just a man. He's not just the prophet and the king and the priest. He's also God himself in flesh. To use the words of the writer of Hebrews, Jesus, he's not just the son over the house, but he is God who built the house. He's the one that has made everything. Earlier in the book of Hebrews, it says that by his own word, he holds the universe together. That Jesus has a name that is higher than any other being, than any other angel, any other human. That Jesus is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords because he is the Son of God. And we are actually longing for the kingship of Jesus. When we see injustices in this world, when we see the different things going on, our hearts long for a king. We long for Jesus to come back, to make the wrong things right. We long for God to dwell with humanity once again, and for all of us to come under the lordship of Jesus. I love this passage in Hebrews 1 that says, Jesus is the heir of all things, and through whom God, he made the universe. Jesus, he's the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being. He sustains all things by his powerful word, and he has provided purification for sins, and he sat down at the right hand of the majesty in heaven. This book of Hebrews, it's about Jesus and the story of Jesus that sustains us in our faith. That we are fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and the perfecter of our faith, and that he is making us more like him as we behold him. Have a great discussion. small groups, and we'll see you next week.